over here. We are live. We are live. Yay. Oh, look, we went live on all the platforms all at once. Hello. Yes, we did it. Now then, let's just give it a second just in case we are going to have anyone joining us live. It would be very exciting if we get some people on live. To everyone watching on the replay, hello and welcome. My name is Lily Badcock. This is TCA Live, which is the live weekly show in association with the Confidence Academy podcast. We have live viewers I can see coming in. Good evening if you're joining us. Hey, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. Because for you, Karen, it's afternoon, isn't it?
It is.
Afternoon, and it's evening here. So say hey. And if you're watching me, hello on Instagram as well. If you are watching us live and if you have questions, you can post them in the comments box and they should, as if by magic, appear in our chat box here. I will momentarily check across to Facebook just in case we're not seeing them. The only thing I would say for anyone who's new to this, we are streaming via StreamYard, which means if you post a comment, if you're not signed up through StreamYard, we won't be able to see your name. So if we don't full name you, we're not being rude. We just don't know. So, Karen, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here again.
I'm so excited. I love this. I love that I get to meet people on the show and then they get to come back and we get to do this live element. I think it's so fun. So your episode came out this week and we were talking all about your work. So for those people who might not have heard the episode, just let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, thank you. Welcome, everybody. My name is Karen Fasulo. I am a parenting coach, a certified parenting coach, and I specialize in working with parents who have children with special needs. And my personal story is that my oldest daughter was diagnosed with autism when she was 11 years old. Like most parents, I knew right from pretty much she was born that there was something just a little bit different. And what I do is I really dissect my journey through all of that. I really talk about my fears, the struggles that I went through. And now I'm using my certification to reach out to other parents who may be going through a similar thing. And offer my support, my guidance, and coaching so that they can have build a better relationship with themselves and with their children.
Amazing. And it was such a great interview. And I think I said at the time, it was very timely because at the time we were going through the process of having our eldest son assessed for autism. Since I spoke to you, we've had our first part of the assessment. So here it takes, I think there are 3 parts to the assessment.
Yeah.
And we were waiting months and months and months to even have that first call. But the call went really well. And the lady I spoke to actually said, there's such overwhelming evidence that he has got autism that we're probably going to be able to skip the middle bit. So hopefully now we're going to go straight to diagnosis. And I just want to explain what I mean by hopefully, because for anyone watching who's like, why would you hope that that's the diagnosis? The thing is, you know, our son needs support. Like we need people to understand what it is that he deals with, because he's absolutely going to be fine as long as people know like what to deal with. And I think this is the thing, isn't it? And I think there's such a taboo around this subject. There's so much that people don't understand, so much misconception about what it means, and that, you know, I think a lot of people feel like it's something that's going to hold them back or that it's something to be afraid of. And, you know, I think we've been very lucky. We've had a lot of support, and it just seems to me that it's like anyone, isn't it? As long as you've got what you need, you're going to be fine. You know, as long as you've got what you need and you have the support and everything's in place, then you're going to be fine. But I know that for a lot of people, that isn't the case. And so the Q&A tonight, of course, anybody with questions specifically around autism, Karen's the person to speak to. She works with parents who have children with autism, and I'm guessing like maybe other things as well. Like I'm guessing you might work with parents that have other challenges, but you know, obviously it's in a similar bracket in that as a parent you can feel very alone, and you can definitely feel like you're doing a terrible job. you can second guess your decisions and your you know what you're deciding to do for the best. It's just hard to know. So any questions anybody has at any point, put them in the comment box. But we've called this episode Parental Anxiety and Overwhelm because, to be honest, as parents, the whole fucking thing's overwhelming, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Very much so.
Whatever you're dealing with. And I think, you know, we covered in the episode, like I think you shared, you have a course called Breaking Through the Eye Rolls, and I actually called the episode that because I just thought it was so brilliant. And the eye rolls being those eye rolls from people that don't understand, those eye rolls from people who think they know better. And to be honest, I think that that's going to affect any parent, whether, and actually anybody, like anybody that's dealing with anything that somebody else doesn't understand, you're going to get an eye roll from time to time because they don't get it. And you can deal with that to a point, but if you are already struggling and if you're at a low ebb, an eye roll
can totally set you off.
Where have we gone? Oh, back. Oh, how funny.
I don't know if it's my internet. I'm so sorry. I have three children online schooling right now.
No,
so
you're fine.
sorry.
No, don't worry. We all disappeared for a minute. It all went into darkness, but it's fine. We're back. Okay. We didn't lose anybody. So right. I'm just hopping over onto Facebook. I've got all the screens going. Hello, if you're watching on Instagram as well. I've got all the screens going. So just in case there are any comments coming in, hopefully I will catch them. If I don't catch them, though, don't worry. Still put your comment because we will go and review this afterwards. We can definitely come in and type in the comments. I was also going to say, Karen, I'm going to invite you to come into the Confidence Academy Facebook group, and anyone else watching, we can carry it on over there as well. So don't panic. And if you're watching on the replay, give us a hashtag replay. Let us know that you were here. And so that's that. So we're open for questions. So I'm going to kick this off, as I always do, because I think, as I said, I was in the throes of the assessment process when I spoke to you, and I suppose we're still in the throes of it, really, but we've at least gone through another stage of that. But I think my first question would be, what would you say? Let's just start at the beginning. What would you say to any parent who is thinking that there's maybe something? Because I know in the beginning, I recognized it quite early on with Louis, and I didn't know what it was. I wasn't an expert. I didn't know what I was seeing, but I could just tell there was something. And I know that when I started to voice those concerns, for a start, my husband was like, no, it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong. And even a lot of the other people that, like, especially because he was our first one, lots of people just think that you're being an overprotective mom and that you know that you're just worried about everything, which, you know, that might be true to a degree, but I think you do have that instinct and you do know. And I just couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew there was something. So what would your advice be to anybody watching who kind of is thinking there might be something and they don't really know where to go from there? Let's start there.
Yeah, definitely. And my experience was exactly the same. So Jordan was my oldest, and when she wasn't meeting those milestones, like she wasn't talking, she wasn't saying mommy, daddy, milk, like all of those first little words she wasn't saying, when she had sensory issues and then started in with anxiety issues. So everybody always had a workaround. Right. So when I brought those issues up to the doctors in those appointments, they were like, well, you know, it could be this or could be that. Maybe, you know, you're a first time mom, you're overthinking everything. But the same as you, I had that feeling inside, like, wait a second here. No, because I have friends who have children, and no, everybody learns at their own pace, but still there was just something that just didn't sit right. And I kept going and I kept talking to the doctors about it. So they sent me to speech and language therapy, where I learned how to communicate with my child. So I learned how to say something, but then wait. So that was really, really helpful. And eventually she did meet all those milestones. So I was really taught to question my own intuition around my daughter, which I think that a lot of parents that really are going through this, that happens, right? So, and especially, so we're talking, for me, this was 9 years ago. And the autism diagnosis really was not something that was that well known, and especially not in girls, because girls display very differently than boys. And there's no, still even to this day, there's not a lot of information around girls in autism. So, and not a lot of, back then, there was no support groups, there was no Facebook groups. So it really was a lot on your own. So what I would say to parents, if you are going through that right now, the first thing is you trust yourself. Trust yourself and make sure that you do ask the questions to your doctor and explain. And you can now do some research. Don't listen to everything that you see on Google, because a lot of it is very different. And even asking questions in a lot of the different groups that are out there, take everything with a grain of salt, because people are going to share with you their experiences, which might not be the same as yours. When we're talking about kids on the spectrum, you know, autism is an umbrella spectrum, and it is because there's no two diagnoses which are the same. My daughter's diagnosis is not going to be the same as your son, so their needs are different, but they're still labeled under the same autism. So it's really confusing.
I think that's one of the main issues, actually, that, you know, that is so different, even from person to person, even to people with autism. It could present completely different. It could throw up completely different challenges for that family, for that child. So that, and there isn't like a one size fits all solution. And I think this is the thing. And you know, I think we are in a world where we want those solutions. There's so many things where there is a solution like that, and you can just go, oh, this is my issue, I get that thing and it's going to be fixed. And this isn't one of those things. And I think it's really common to feel very alone, because even though you'll connect with groups, you know, I'm connected, for example, online in a couple of groups because I just wanted some answers. And while we're waiting for the professionals, like, this is the thing, you're waiting for the professionals, but every single day you're dealing with the kickback from not knowing what you're doing. You know, and it really is like baptism of fire. Like, you just can't, there's no workaround, it's straight through. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I'm in a couple of groups there, which I've kind of found helpful and unhelpful in equal measure, because it's been so nice to see, that I'm not the only one, and also very interesting to hear other people's experiences with things that I didn't even realize was a thing. Like, you know, because you're always focusing on the biggest issue. So in our house, I would say we've got two massive issues. One is that Louis he cannot get to sleep. So he, on a really, well, the worst possible ever night, he didn't sleep at all. He stayed awake all the way through. And then what happened after that was he fell asleep at about 10:30 or 11 the next morning, by which point I'd put everybody in the car to go out for a walk, and he'd fallen asleep in the car. And when we got to this place to go for a walk, he didn't know where he was. And it's the first time, and only time actually, that I've seen like what I would call true autistic behavior, where he was banging his head on the seat, he was crying, he was screaming like so loud. People were walking past my car and I didn't know what to do. I had Freddie, who just wanted to go and explore, so he was running up every tree that he could find. Sophia, who's only 2, obviously wanted to go with her brother to climb the trees, and I couldn't leave her, and he wasn't getting out of the car. And that was a moment when I was like, I can't do this. And I wanted to just stop everything and just cry. And there were people walking past my car, and I was just thinking, how can you walk past a mother who's clearly struggling? But, you know, at the end of the day, I would probably have walked past as well, because people don't want to put their nose in your business. Like, it's uncomfortable for them. They don't know what they're dealing with. And so a lot of them, it's just a bit of a side eye, the eye roll, like you said. And, you know, and you just know, like, this is a whole other level, but you just know there are people looking, going, oh, she's not very much in control of her children today. Like, you know, why doesn't she have better control?
That's your perception about what other people might be thinking about you.
Exactly. And that's what I mean by layers.
What they're thinking.
That's what I mean by layers, right? You're dealing with everything that's actually happening. You're dealing with your own stress and anxiety, which then brings on all of the mind monkeys telling you all the stuff that may or may not be true. At the end of the day, even if it is true, who gives a crap? Who's got the energy for that anyway? But in that moment, like, I would say, and as someone with anxiety as well, like, oh my God, it's like a pressure cooker, and it compounds and it goes up and up and up and up. So I don't really know my point of sharing that, other than to let other people know that if you've gone through that, or if you've been in that place, you're not on your own. No. And of course it did subside, but all of that stemmed from him not sleeping. And so him not getting sleep is actually a big problem. Like right now, he falls asleep around midnight, which to me is really good. Of course, it's still way too late, but it was around 3:30. So, you know, we're kind of dialing it back, but there's no immediate help for that. And, you know, and here's the other thing I found as well. A lot of the advice hasn't worked for us. So what works for others, what you were just saying, what works for some people isn't going to work for you. And so I think a lot of the time you're not on your own. Like, you're never on your own, but it can feel like you are, because even in a group of other people with autistic children, their issues might be very different. Another big issue we deal with is his food. He just doesn't eat anything really. And I found the group, like the big Facebook groups, like I said, I liked, you know, there were certain things I learned in there that I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And I haven't thought of that. And, or just even just a bit of solidarity. But then on the other hand, what I do find in those groups, and I found the same with anxiety groups, is there's a lot of, dare I say it, woe is me going on. And I'm not begrudging people that, because like, where do you, like, if you have nowhere to vent, maybe that's where you vent. But I personally don't find value in that, because then it just becomes a whole pile of everybody struggling. It's like going out on a raft and the raft sinks, and then sending out another bunch of people to help who don't have a raft either. Do you know what I mean? And then everyone's just like, oh, it's crap. So I want to go a bit along those lines for a minute, because there are so many people, and I know personally from own experience and from other people I know, that there are a lot of people right now who are feeling really helpless. They're feeling very unheard. They're feeling not connected. They're having to go through the motions every single day, not knowing what they're doing, not knowing if what they're doing is helping or hindering. Yeah. It's affecting their mental health as a result. Do you have any advice for anybody that's feeling in that situation right now?
Okay, number one, just be kind to yourself. You are not alone. You are not in a normal situation. The whole world is not in a normal situation. So everything, regardless of where you live right now, things are different. And a lot of the kids that are on the spectrum, whether they are identified or not, have a very hard time managing change. Even after they've been identified and what they consider to be able to be living a fairly, successful life. My daughter, who is now 19, is able to really live. She's in college. She's able to keep up with her studies. She's able to manage herself, has a very hard time managing change. So this is something that that'll throw her off. And then we have to go, wait a second, okay, what do we need to do? So be very mindful of that, and be kind to yourself about that. And really, when you are, so the questions that I started asking was, what do I need right now? And what do you need right now? So I would ask my daughter, how can I support you through this right now? I can see that there is a problem. You are not feeling, whether she's starting to have an anxiety attack, whether she's, not able to settle, and she's oversensitized. So what do you need right now in order to be able to feel better? Because a lot of the times, especially when the kids are young and they're just learning about all of this, and you're just learning about all of this, it's so many unknowns that how can I help you? And a lot of times she'll just be like, I don't know, I just need to be left alone. Okay, there you go. Or she's like, we need to breathe. And that's something that I talk a lot. And even with my two other daughters who are not on the spectrum, we do a lot. Like whenever anybody is starting to feel a little bit of that anxiety, a little bit of that overwhelm, we do belly breaths, you know, and that just really, really, there's so much scientific proof the belly breaths does so much for just to be able to calm yourself down. Because whether you're in like an autistic, whether they're having a meltdown, the meltdowns come from not being able to express their feelings, not being able to articulate how they're feeling, and it's built up and it's pent up, and then all of a sudden they just have a complete meltdown. So being able to calm that down, so belly breaths, giving yourself a break. Sometimes you just need to walk away. The most important thing is for you to try to stay calm, because they also, a lot of kids on the spectrum are really, really sensitive to other people's energies and emotions. My daughter is the first one to say to me when she knows when I'm not always like in a great mood or I'm feeling bad or stressed. She's the one that comes up to me and she's like, Mom, are you okay? Like I sense there's something not right. So they do, and she's older, she can now talk to me about that. But when she was younger, she just was like, Mom's not right, so something's wrong, and that triggered a lot inside of her. So
yeah, because you're the safe space, I suppose. Like you're the constant, which is why they all have a meltdown when they come out of school, isn't it, or out of any place they've been. Like Louis masks extremely well, to the point where I think that's why it's taken this long to even get anybody to say that anything's wrong, because he would get into an appointment and he can just turn it on just like that, which I think is something we all have the ability of doing. You know, I felt a bit like that actually with my anxiety diagnosis, because they sent me for CBT. Well, I know that stuff. I studied mindset and stuff, so I knew what to say to get me out of the room, but you know, didn't necessarily help me. I definitely had a massive meltdown after that, because then I wasn't getting the support. You've touched a little bit on the fact that you have other children as well who are not on the spectrum, and I want to go there now, because I know that brings like a whole other level of struggle, because then, like I find with ours, we're constantly trying to explain why we have to deal with things this way for that person and a different way for the other person. So how would you advise that people approach that if they are in a household with multiple children? Do you think it's best to conceal what's happening, or do you think it's best to have that conversation? And is there a right age to do that, or what would you say?
I would definitely have that conversation, because, you know, and I guess you really need to have that understanding of your own family, right? But regardless, they know that they're being treated differently. So you don't want to create anything. Well, you know, like for my girls, I would never want them to think, well, Jordan gets special treatment because she's autistic. So number one, that's going to make Jordan feel bad because she's autistic. There's nothing wrong with her being autistic. It's actually what makes her the wonderful person that she is. So we celebrate that, right? Like but I understand that when you're still trying to just learn about it, it's hard to see that. It really is. But, you know, we were just like, well, you know, certain things like, okay, so for eating, for instance, right? So Jordan, who is on the spectrum, she cannot eat certain foods. Sorry, my dog is.
The dog's getting in on it.
Sorry, the dog just literally came in, jumped on
Right, there'll be a 2-year-old in a minute. She'll be coming in to get some sleep. So yeah, don't worry.
So we're talking. So like Jordan, she cannot physically eat certain foods. Like we've tried, Like, she just can't. And they may be things that you and I think, well, why can't you eat them, like red peppers or bok choy or any breakfast food, eggs or anything like that. She's tried, she just cannot swallow them. So it's little things like, well, that's fine, but she can eat, she loves raw oysters, and she'll go eat a whole tray load of raw oysters, and she'll eat like noodle soup for breakfast. And so it's those things, like, it's like, well, is it really a big deal? No, it's not.
Yeah.
Because what she likes, there's foods that I don't like, there's foods that all the kids don't like. So it's learning acceptance. It's learning acceptance for who they are, as opposed to, well, they can't do that because they're like autistic, or they can't do that because, or they get special treatment. So, and we learned that right from, well, my daughter was diagnosed at 11. So my other children were 9 and 6. So that's just the way that it is. We can't pick up and just go somewhere, because Jordan wasn't prepared. And by doing that was going to cause a lot of stress and anxiety. And then she walks really, really slow. So we know that it's not going to help. So we had to sort of change our way of doing things, but it was never in a negative way. And I think that is the important part. It was in an acceptance way.
I love that, because I think that's actually amazing advice, whatever it is you're dealing with, because actually everybody's different. Everybody's got their own needs, their own, and again, something that will work for one person wouldn't work for another. And I think I loved what you've shared in the episode about, it was around acceptance and about letting go of, I can't remember how you worded it, but it was something like, I had to let go of the experience I thought I was going to have as a parent, and instead accept what I was going to have. And I think actually, I do think that's relevant for parents anyway. We get painted this picture because you watch a few movies and read a few books or whatever. And I think there's a lot of pressure anyway on parents to be doing it a certain way. And, that you're supposed to parent your kids a certain way and teach food a certain way and have this behavior and whatnot. And at the end of the day, you have to do what is right for you. And I really think picking your battles that's been a game changer for us over here. And I found it quite difficult in the beginning, because I am someone who, I have to know what I'm going into. So when I was pregnant, I was reading all of those books, like the books they give you in your appointment that most people just, sort of skim through. I read cover to cover because that's what I'm like. It's like, I have to have the information. I have to know what I'm going into. There's a bit of a joke between my friends, but whenever we go to a theme park, I will give them
I don't know what happened.
Hello. I'm wondering if it's my internet. I had a message saying that my Wi-Fi was unstable. I was like, aren't we all at this point?
Totally.
Let me just check that we're back. Okay. It looks like we're back. I'm just going to wait for Facebook to catch up. I've ended Instagram. Poor old Instagram. They get the rough end of this deal, but I'll share to Instagram afterwards. Hopefully they'll come and find us. Okay, I think we're back. So yeah, I was just saying, like, when I'm at a theme park, I'm the one that knows all the things about the roller coaster. I know how fast we're going. I know how many flips it's got, how many upside down bits, how tall it is, how many drops. And I mean, it's things like that. Then I start to go, maybe I'm a little bit autistic as well, because like that's a proper autism thing, isn't it? It's like, gotta have the information. And this is the thing as well. Like a lot of the things, like a lot of the traits I see in Louis, a lot of it, I'm like, yeah, but I'm like that. Like he could have just got that from me. So I think, there's, again, it's such a grey area. There's so many things that it could be that, or it could just be something else. But I think, because I'm that way, I'd gone into parenthood with my idea of what it was supposed to be like, how it was supposed to look. But I mean, I got my first taste of what it's truly like when I wrote a birth plan. And then I don't think I've written 3 birth plans in my life, and I don't think any of them have ever gone to that plan. To the point where when I had Sophia, my 3rd child, and they were like, okay, we're going to write the birth plan. I was like, just put a question mark, like whatever, do whatever. You're going to do whatever you want anyway. Like nothing ever goes to plan. But I think it's really good advice you have to try and let go of your own expectations, and especially the expectations of others. And you especially have to remind yourself that those people are not living your experience. Those people do not understand. And it's not that it's a bad thing. Like, they don't have to understand it. You just have to know how to set your boundaries for yourself. And it truly is about picking battles. Like we've got to the point where Louis is very rigid with his food. And so Louis is rigid with his food, and that's the way it is. And I just try and make sure that he has the things he likes, and I try and give him good stuff as well. And I'm actually now thinking I'm going to have to start getting him some like extra vitamins or something, because I just worry that he's not getting everything he needs. But he doesn't look unwell. Like, he's very thin, but that runs in our family anyway, not on my side, as you can tell. But my dad, my brother, my sister, they're all like super like beanpole skinny. So even that is not that unusual. But a lot of anxiety can be alleviated just by having some acceptance around what it is you're doing, and literally going, never mind what I thought it was going to be, never mind what that book said, never mind what that program did, never mind what Sally down the road is doing. What you said it as well. This is what you say to your child. What do you need right now? What do I need right now? How can we all get through this moment and survive it? Because
exactly.
I think that's the only way forward.
And I also I had to release that vision that I had of her when she was born, when I found out that she was diagnosed. But then I also had to release that new vision that was created in my head about what her limitations were going to be. Right? Because you always are given, at least I was given the pamphlets that was like, be careful. I don't know how she'll do in high school. She won't be able to hold a job. She won't be able to go to post-secondary education. She won't be able to live on her own. Like, she probably won't be able to have friends. Watch out for, suicidal thoughts, being bullied, opened, all of that, right? So this was all like, oh my goodness. So that was the new vision that I had for my daughter. And I actually needed to release that as well. Because if I kept that vision that she's not going to be able to do stuff in my head, then she's going to sense that and she's going to live down to that, right? So you have to really be realistic as far as, okay, well, no, she's not going to go to university, but you know what is it she really likes? And, when she was little, she was always making movies on my iPad. She was even doing like little finger puppets, and her imagination and creativity was incredible. So when it came time to, well, what do you think that I can do? I'm like, well, why don't you go make movies? Because you naturally were drawn to do that. And that's what she's in school for. And she's thriving with that, so.
And I think that, again, I don't think that is necessarily specific to a child with special needs. That is just excellent advice, whoever your children are, because again, we try and stick everybody in these little boxes, and then a few thrive and most don't. And it's just a much better thing to go, look, forget all of that. what do you love? What are you really good at? Like I've said so many times, how amazing would the world be if everybody was doing what they truly loved and what they truly knew they were good at and what they truly thought they were here to do? There wouldn't be all of this fear and anxiety and overwhelm, because people would just be doing what they feel they're led to be doing. So I think that is excellent advice, whoever you are watching this. It's even good advice to take for yourself. You know, stop putting yourself in boxes. Stop thinking, you know, again, I had the same thing when I got given my anxiety diagnosis. Same as you said, suddenly the whole list of what I wouldn't be able to do as a result of that. And then I had to check myself and go, wait a minute, do you believe that though? Like, what do you actually believe? And I was like, well, actually, that doesn't feel true. What feels true is that I can dream big dreams and create what I want in my life. I've always believed I could do that. Just because this bit of paper says I've got anxiety shouldn't mean that I suddenly can't create an amazing life. But it took me a minute, you know, because we're so conditioned to go, oh, okay, I've got anxiety. Right. Okay, let me hang that around my neck and I'll go and act like someone with anxiety, you know. The thing I get told, not so much now, because I'm not really in that space so much, but in the beginning, so many people would judge that. They would go, but you don't look like you have anxiety. You don't look like someone with a mental health issue. And I was like, but what does that even look like? Like this, I have a mental health issue. So this is what it looks like, you know. You're just seeing me on a good day, or you're just seeing a nice picture with a filter. Like, let me show you the other side of it. But that's what we don't see. I want to come back to talking about the overwhelm that can happen as a parent when it feels relentless, like all the things are coming at you all at once. And I know that there are going to be people that watch this as well who are doing it on their own. There are single parents dealing with this, and they have children that are on the spectrum, sometimes multiple children, and there doesn't seem to be any break for them. And especially where we're at now with this pandemic, where you can't necessarily go and get a coffee with a friend or go and have a workout class or whatever. Do you have any advice for people who feel like they're drowning in everything that's happening to them? Like when they physically can't get that space, is there any advice for people that are in that space right now?
Right. So I was a single parent doing all of this on my own as well. So I get it. I totally get it, that it that weight on top of your shoulders and that pressure that you've got to get it right for both sides, right? So it's huge. What I found, especially now in the pandemic, when I need to have that space, because you need to self-parent yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you cannot get out and see somebody, you need to find that. So whether it's putting everybody in and going for a walk, trying, or making sure that, of course, number one, your kids are safe. And is it that you go have a bubble bath? Is it that you put on some meditation music, relaxation music, whatever it is that you find? Or is it like that you go and have a dance party, something that's for you? And it doesn't have to be for a long time. A lot of us think that when we are trying to do, when we've got to do self-love, that we've got to do something big and extravagant to show that we love ourselves. And it's not about that. Self-love is actually those little tiny things that we do. Is it that I'm going to actually have my cup of tea or have my coffee and read my book for 10 minutes? And whatever is happening, as long as it's safe.
Yeah.
We don't need to change over the washing. We don't need to empty the dishwasher. If our kids are, having a spat and it's not crazy, then we still can take that time for ourselves. Or is it, prioritize 5 minutes. A 5-minute reset within ourselves can make a world of difference. And that, when you're feeling that and you're in that moment where it's so hard and you don't know what you're going to do that. I used to give myself timeouts. I used to go and sit myself on the bottom step and I would cry. And my kids would be like, what's the matter? I'm like, mommy's on a timeout right now. I need to be alone.
Yeah.
Just go. Right. And they were like, okay. And that gave me that I needed to get it out. And then I would be like, all right, let's go. What is it? What's the problem? How do we need to solve this? What do you need from me? And
I love that.
Back inside of me that I could then give. You know, it's the same thing that they tell you on the airplane, right? You got to put your oxygen mask on first.
Yeah.
And especially right now, especially if you're a single mom, and especially with your kids that need you to be you. So you need to figure that out, find out what that is. Me, meditation is being something that's been a godsend and a savior in my life. And it doesn't have to be for very long. And there's great 5-minute, 10-minute reset meditations on YouTube that is free, that you can just sit down and just relax.
I love that. I think it's the same thing, isn't it? It's letting go of, first of all, letting go of what you think self-care has to look like. It doesn't have to be a half day in a spa, although that would be lovely. You can just get those little pockets of time. If that's all you've got, then grab that, and again, it's about letting go of the idea of what you think it should be, and instead working with what you've got. And I think that's excellent advice, and I've definitely done that myself. In fact, I think I read that in a book somewhere. It was like, if as a new mum you're feeling overwhelmed, just go to another room. If your child is safe and they're secure, just go and take some deep breaths. Like you've already said it, but breathing is it's like magic elixir. It really is. It can reset your heart rate. It can just calm you down. And that, like, it sounds silly, but even that can make the difference between completely thinking you can't cope and realizing that you can cope. It doesn't mean that it suddenly isn't tough anymore. It might still feel tough, but instead of feeling like you don't have control of it, you'll be like, okay, got a second win. Let's go back in. And of course, it's true to say that challenges come, but it's never the same. It's never at that level of intensity forever. So you've just got to get through that moment. You don't have to worry about when the next one's coming. It's a bit like waves. Like, sure, you'll get hit again. And if you're having a bad day or a bad week, it might feel like those waves are coming and coming and coming. But there are still moments there are still gaps in between. And it's about utilizing those gaps well, and just closing your eyes and taking a deep breath. Like even that just brings you into yourself just for a second.
I know when I was going down that rabbit hole, and I would start like, oh, this is awful. Why is my life like this? And what did I do to deserve, this? And like, where is this going? And when you get beat up on yourself, it is 10 times worse.
Yeah.
It really is 10 times worse. And we all go there. We all can. No matter what. And that doesn't stop. Even, me right now, that I have moments where I can go down that rabbit hole. And then I'm like, wait a minute here. That's not serving me. That's not serving me. That's not serving my kids. And it's just making us all even more miserable. So what do I need to do right now to help me?
Yeah. I think I absolutely agree with that as well. And I think you can't always help going down that rabbit hole, but there will come a point of awareness where you're in the hole, and that's when you can go, okay, maybe I'll climb out the hole now. Like this is just another level that I don't need to be dealing with. And the thing is, like, you're allowed your feelings, you're allowed to feel frustration, you're allowed to have those fears, but I would suggest channeling that somewhere. So that's why I like to journal. So you mentioned meditation. For me, I think my meditation is singing. I sing wherever I can. And I wanted to pick up on this point as well, because some of that advice you just gave is perfect advice, because it enables your child to see you coping that way as well. And your children are always mimicking what you're doing. Like, even as they get older, they're still watching you. And if you are demonstrating that in a moment, this is how I take care of myself, then they will emulate that, and it really will start serving everybody. So the other thing I was going to say was finding ways to get them involved in it as well, which is why, singing, I love to sing. Unfortunately, my children don't enjoy that. they tell me I'm rubbish and put their fingers in their ears. And I'm like, do you even know who I am? Like, people paid a lot of money to hear me sing. How very dare you? But, you know, that's just the kid thing, isn't it? But, you know, I will often do that. And, you know, I will make doing the washing up an act of self-care, because I'll put my favorite music on. I'll have a glass of wine or like my favorite drink. And I even make that a moment for myself, because it has to be done at times, but it doesn't have to be done from a stressful place. It can be done, you can make it least stressful, like less stressful. And I think, you know, it is about sprinkling. I say this to everybody about everything. It's finding what you love. Ask yourself, what do you love? And I think if you've been under a lot of pressure, you might not have asked yourself that for a while. You might have forgotten that you love to sing, or that you love to dance, or whatever. So get yourself back to that and try and sprinkle a little bit of that into your day somewhere, even if it's for 5 minutes in the car or whatever it may be. And definitely pick your battles. Like, there are going to be some absolute humdingers that you're going to it's going to take all your energy. So those little ones, like, they won't eat a piece of lettuce. Like, so what? Just because all the books say they should be eating it, like, who gives a shit? Like, my thing now is, I'm just trying to get through my day with as little stress as possible. So where's the, like, the path of least resistance? Like, what is the path of least resistance that's going to get me to the minimum stress levels? I'm doing that, whatever that looks like, you know?
And that's it. And once you're living in that space and everything's okay, and then, but there's a fine line, right? Between, are they taking advantage of the situation, right? So there are definitely rules, and there is respect that's needed to be on both sides. And so this is where, I mean, we can have a whole other chat about, you know, about parenting and how, you know, what's being brought down from generation to generation to generation, right? So, but there is that, exactly what you said. They are learning from you. So you need to set that standard. So the way that you speak, the words that are saying, you know, the way that you behave, you can't act one way and then expect your children to act a different way. Like, gone are the days where do what I say, not what I do, right? Which I know I heard when I was growing up. So that is just not accepted in today's society, because kids are more aware, right? And we're more aware that didn't feel very good. So make sure that you are acting in a way that you do want your kids to behave as well. So when it comes to meals, we make our meal together. We make sure that there is something there that everybody likes and eats. And then we pick and choose. We don't sit there and make them eat their dinner until it's fully done. Like, creating positive habits around all of that. We all clean up together. We don't, you know, I don't tolerate disrespectful language, and I don't use disrespectful language, right? So it goes both ways, and that's really, really important. And when I'm having a panic attack, when I'm having, like, when I've had enough and I'm just really upset, I will say to them, I've had enough. I'm gonna explode. The fireworks are gonna come. I need a moment. And they know that, because they pushed and then they saw the fireworks. So they now know, okay, mommy needs some time. Right?
Yeah. But we went way too far. Reel it back.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a lovely moment I had last year. Well, it wasn't a lovely moment. It was a horrendous moment, because I had a panic attack in the shower, and it was my first panic attack in ages, like in years. And it kind of blindsided me. It kind of came out of nowhere. And I was taking the shower, and it just escalated and escalated. And in the end, my husband came in, like, to try and calm me down and help me. And I suddenly was aware that Freddie, our middle son, was outside the door as well. And at first I kept trying to shut the door, and I was like, don't let him see, because I was like, it's going to be frightening for him. And then something in me was like, no, let him see, let him come in and let him be part of this. Like, you know, it was almost like I had the panic going on, but then there was this stronger thing in my head going, you teach this stuff, you're going to get through this, and you're going to show him that you can get through this. So in the end, we let him come in the bathroom, and he sat on the edge of the bath with me. And I put his little hand on my chest, and I said, can you feel that mummy's heart is beating really fast? And he was like, yeah, because he was like, what's the matter with you? And I said, I feel like I can't breathe. I can breathe, but I feel like I can't breathe. And I just said, Mummy needs to breathe. Can you help me? So I had his little hand here, and then I had my hand on his. And I just did breathing with him. I was like, breathing in, breathing out. And at first, I couldn't even breathe out because I was still having the attack. But he was doing it. And then in the end, I started to breathe as well. And I was like, see, your mummy's superhero. You've just helped me. You've helped me breathe when I couldn't breathe. And hopefully I made it. I turned what was a terrifying experience into something empowering for him. And then not only was it that he knew then that he could look after me, but he could also do that for himself. You know, anytime that he was getting het up or stressed or anything, then he had that, like that little superpower. And it is a superpower, but it's so simple and it's so powerful. You've just got to breathe. That's all you have to do. That's all you ever have to do. Anything else is a bonus, you know? And so it might not always be appropriate to have your kids be part of that, but in that moment it felt like it was. And yeah, it became a really beautiful moment. It was a nice thing. And so I think, you know, being a parent is just like, it's a beautiful journey and the toughest job you'll ever do. Because there's no way to train for it. Like, there is no boot camp. There's no manual. Even the ones that have been written don't apply. Like,
especially if you have a child on the spectrum, those manuals that were written all get thrown out the window, right?
And that's exactly the point. It's letting go of that vision, but also letting go of that box. It's like, that is not going to work for us. And it's, you know, having the balls to say that actually doesn't work for us. Like, I've had to say that even to doctors, like with the sleep. They're like, oh, you know, just reduce his screen time. That doesn't work for him. The screen time is what calms him down. When I took the screen away, he lost his shit completely. Like, do you know what I mean? So I was like, but you know, we're constantly battling, I think, with the like you said, perceived judgments of others, and you just have to get past that, because number one, you don't know what people are thinking, and number two, what other people think of you is none of your business. Exactly. You have to know that you're doing a good job for yourself. You need to find the places and the people that you can do this all on again. Oh, we're back. Oh, I think it's my internet. I don't know what it is. But yeah, there's no need to do it alone. It's about finding the platforms and the people that can offer you the support that you need. So that was going to bring me to ask you, Karen, do you have a Facebook community or somewhere if people want to connect with you? Tell them where they can go.
So I do have a Facebook group. It's called Breaking Through the Eye Rolls. So it should be quite easy for you to find, and it's for parents who have children that are on the spectrum. So where we talk about different strategies, and you definitely can come and ask questions there and be able to get answers and get support. I'm active in there as well. So if you have any questions for me, and it's going to be a positive environment. So action steps as far as what you can do to try to help yourself and your children and your family, as well as, am I frozen? I don't know.
We were, but we're back.
Okay. Yeah. So Facebook group Breaking Through the Eye Rolls is a free one there. You can also find me on my website, KarenFasulo.com.
I've just found it. I'm just seeing if I can share the link now. So is it the one Breaking Through the Eye Rolls Parent Coaching with Karen Fasulo?
Yep, that's it.
Yay. Okay, let me grab that link and I will just share that now. I've just requested to join, but then I clicked exit by accident, so I haven't answered your questions.
That's okay.
But hopefully you'll know who I am anyway. But let me come back and I will share that link now. I think it would be a really great community to be part of, you guys, because this isn't generic, just, you know, this isn't just generic advice. This is, you know, Karen has literally walked the path as a single parent with multiple children, one of whom was on the spectrum. And, you know, I doubt there's much that she hasn't experienced. So, you know, it's just having that connection, isn't it? Sometimes it's just nice to have somewhere to go and be like, oh my God, you know, this is happening today. And, you know, that's what I'm dealing with. It's just sometimes it can just be enough to have someone else go, yeah, me too. It's like, okay, at least I'm not on my own. For some reason, that does make it, you do feel a bit better about things.
And you feel validated, right? Like that's the whole thing. We really, really want to feel validated. And our children want to feel validated as well. You know what? Like that was a big thing too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just putting this link in now. So it's going in on the Facebook page. I will also add it to my business Facebook page, and then I will go over to YouTube and I'll add it in there. So depending on where you guys are watching this, will depend on whether you find that link, but it's coming up any minute now as soon as my computer comes to life. You guys know by now it's the slowest computer in the history of the world. But if not, just go search up that group, Breaking Through the Eye Rolls with Karen Fasulo. And I've just requested to join. If Karen lets me in, that is, because I rejected her questions, but hopefully she'll let me in there. And
I'll let you in there. I'm also, now it might be a little bit late for your viewers in England, but I'm hosting a free webinar in that group on Monday, February 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern. So it would be a little bit late for you guys, but on the power of asking for help, because a lot of times that's where it is, right? We're almost afraid to ask for help. So, but that will be, I'll leave that replay in that group as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, I was going to say if there's a replay. There we go. The link is just there. It's just popped up as well. So you guys can click that and request to join. And of course, if you're not already in the Confidence Academy Facebook group, come and join us over there as well. I recently resurrected it. So it's a little bit, I did neglect it for a while, but we're back and we're putting stuff in there. So you can come and join us over there. And Karen, I'll send you the link for there. And if you want to join us in that group as well.
We'd love to.
Well, you're free. And then that way, anyone watching, you guys can tag us. You can tag me, you can tag Karen. Just, you know, share questions, share experiences, comments from this conversation, anything that you want to. Let's just have a chat. Let's just get a conversation going, because that in itself can be truly healing. Karen, is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap this up tonight? Anything else that you want people to know, or anything else that you wanted to share before we finish?
Just basically, it's really just be kind to yourself. Really, you're not alone. We are all in especially this time, things are crazy. But if you are going through, you know, your child just being diagnosed, going in the middle of the process, or being there for quite some time and things are different now, you know, be kind to yourself. Reach out for the right support. Reach out to people like yourself, or even reach out to me, and we'll be able to work together, build that village, and don't try to do it alone, because it's better when there's other people there.
Absolutely. And I think that's especially true if you're finding that you're not getting that support, because I know we've been very lucky with our school, but I know that not everyone has that experience. And so it's about recognizing that if you've gone down one route and the help isn't there, the help will be somewhere else. And I think being in a group like Karen's and getting yourself into these communities opens those doors up, because somebody else will go, oh, well, I tried this, or I found, you know, there's so many charities for all the different elements. Like I've been put onto a sleep charity now, which is going to help us hopefully with that until we can get the medication that he needs to help him. So absolutely. And, you know, definitely check out that webinar on Monday as well. If you're not a night owl like me, then you can get the replay. And that is in Karen's Facebook group, which I've just put the link for in the comments. So make sure that you join us there. Karen, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you. I love your community. You are so awesome to be a part of. I can't wait for all your other new guests that you're going to have on your podcast soon.
Jason Momoa. Just
yeah.
Hashtag. I've thought of a few hashtags. We've got hashtag manifest Momoa. We've got hashtag Jason come to me. So I think we need to get these trending. But yeah, it's he'd be very lucky to be on this podcast. It's an amazing podcast.
It is.
And he'd be safe. I can't lick his face on screen. Like, he'd be completely safe. I could just chat to him. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go and watch my live stream from yesterday. It's on my Facebook page. But, you know, anyone that knows me knows I love Jason Momoa. And I decided that I was going to get Jason Momoa onto the podcast. And it escalated very quickly. And there have been some amazing connections. I've met someone that walked their dog with him. Somebody else's friend works with him at the moment on set somewhere. There's all kinds of connections coming up. So I think Gabrielle Bernstein calls that driftwood, doesn't she? When you start seeing the signs of what you might be manifesting. So I even got friend requested on Instagram by a Jason Momoa lookalike.
That is driftwood at its finest, for sure.
I had to double check. I was like, is it him? Oh, no, it's not him. No, it's not. It wasn't quite as exciting, but he was a good looking dude, so it's fine. So anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. As well, if you're watching this on the replay and you still have questions, you can still post them below or jump into either of our Facebook groups and ask them in there. We will be happy to answer them. And please, please, please share this live stream with anybody you know that's going through that scenario or something like it. If you think it will help, please share it. And I'll be back next Thursday with another guest. Of course, and there'll be another episode out on Monday on the podcast as well. So make sure that you are subscribed. Just before I go, I want to let you know that I created a free workshop for you guys that you can get. If I'm really clever, I'll grab the link right now. Let's see if I can do this. I didn't manage it yesterday. Multitasking is not my friend. But it's basically called the Ultimate Mindset Reset. So in fact, it would go very well along this conversation we were having tonight. If you are facing anything that feels too much, the Ultimate Mindset Reset will give you the tools to be able to shift your perception. Because we can't always change the reality, but we can always see it through a different lens. And it's a free workshop. So if you go to lilybadcock.com, you can grab your copy there. It's actually an opt-in right at the top of the page. And just to help you out, I'm also going to grab the link for you here as well. And I'll pop that below in a minute. But that is a free workshop. You'll get onto the dashboard. It's about an hour long. It'll change your life, y'all. So go and get it. So anyway, thank you for being here. Karen, thank you again for your time. And confidence is yours as soon as you choose it, guys. Don't forget that. I'll be back next week. Sending lots of love. Oh, I thought I was on the laptop and I'm on the iPad. So slick, Lil. So slick. See you later. End the broadcast.